Hey guys, I want to take a minute to go over the sick cycle of CPS. So, as you guys have seen in my most recent video, CPS has a whole lot of explaining to do. They haven't really been doing much explaining for themselves. Pretty much every question has been met with, "I'm not going to litigate this with you, Miss Guskin." In other words, I'm not going to answer these questions because I'm not capable of answering them because I don't actually look into anything and I just listen to what I'm told. So, over the past couple of visits with Iris, I've been asking CPS what is it that they want from me. They want me to continue attending therapy. Okay. So I allowed my therapist to speak with CPS last week. Interestingly, what my therapist had to say is that pretty much what we talk about during therapy is CPS and how much CPS fucked up. So, in other words, CPS wants me to see a therapist for my history and my past, everything that I've been dealing with, for my mental problems, etc., etc., etc. Mind you, remember, these mental problems consist of somebody having an ability to read medical records and process medical records and understand what they say, and then CPS just not wanting to read medical records, not wanting to understand medical records, and listening to the word of Dr. Chau, who has already shown herself to be a deceitful, manipulative liar. So, we've got that going on. So it's strange. CPS is like, well, we'll give you your daughter back if you attend therapy. You're attending therapy, and your therapist is saying that the only reason why you need therapy is because CPS took your daughter, but we're not going to give her back anyway. Granted, this is the fucked up cycle that CPS puts people through. They come up with false accusations. When you demand proof, they sit here and belittle your mental health. And then when you go to see a therapist and those mental health experts say, hey, look, the only reason why they're having a problem is because of you, they ignore it. So it's interesting how CPS wants the opinion of a mental health professional, but if it's not the opinion that they want, no, we don't want it, we don't want it, we don't want it. It doesn't work that way, CPS. I'm sorry, Christina Hudgens, it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, Ben Levin, it doesn't work. I'm sorry, Ben Levy, Levey. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, Michelle Trudeau, it doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, Jill and Thomas McFalls, it doesn't work that way. You can't sit here and come back after the fact, open it up a fraudulent case. I have medical records proving it's fraudulent. Ignoring a diagnosis for Iris's lack of weight gain. Ignoring the fact that it's a genetic disorder and can easily be proven with a genetic disorder test. Ignoring the fact that CPS was taken against medical advice. Ignoring the fact that her health got severely worse in DSS care. CPS is ignoring all this information because Dr. Michelle Trudeau saw a blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby, the baby of a human trafficking survivor, and decided, ooh, money, 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 money. Now, if you want to know where that ooh, money, 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 money is coming from, take a look at the Adoption and Safe Families Act of 1997. That was passed by Bill Clinton. Yes, the wonderful Clintons. The husband of the wonderful woman who decided to call black people super predators. Yeah, it's amazing how the Clintons always tend to really drive the knife into all the impoverished areas, isn't it? So, we have CPS demanding that I see a therapist, and yet I have 4 mental health professionals willing to attest to the fact that my mental health was more or less fine before CPS got involved. CPS got involved and they caused my PTSD to get significantly worse. So we have the word of Dr. Michelle Trudeau, who admitted in her own statement that she never saw Scott, Iris, or myself. The queen of human trafficking within Baltimore County, saying that the human trafficking survivor is not telling the truth. One of us has medical records and documentation, and one of us has a big mouth with nothing to back it up. Which one are you, Trudeau? Which one are you, CPS? Because it doesn't look like you've been backing up anything. In fact, quite the opposite. Now, Interestingly, there was another little stipulation that CPS wanted, a recommendation that CPS wanted for the return of Iris. What they're saying is, in order for me to return Iris, they want me to stop posting on social media. Let me say this. Ha, ha, ha. Fuck you. Now, let me put it this way. When you guys decided to fuck with me, you knew full well that I was a journalist. You knew full well that everything and anything that you did was going to be released to the public people and released for public scrutiny. You knew this. By pursuing on with this case, you consented to everything that you've been doing to be released for public scrutiny. Don't get mad at me. You knew. You consented. So, if you want to continue playing this game of, I took your child and I want you to see a therapist, but I'm going to ignore everything the therapist says because I want to keep profiting off your child. No, Cupcake, that's not how this works, you fucking psychopaths. No. So, I'm going to continue on this route of Jill and Thomas McFalls. They are the ones who are currently lying to keep my daughter in foster care. They receive monthly bonuses or monthly payments from the government to keep Iris in foster care. So they're receiving a few $100s a month already, plus reimbursement for their fees. Now, interestingly, this is the same foster family who claim that they can't afford to feed Iris organic food. So you're sitting here and lying to keep Iris in a situation where obviously isn't healthy for her. I'm sorry, psychopath. You are dealing with 3 other grandchildren on top of my infant daughter. There is no way that you can even possibly justify to anybody with any sort of modicum of common sense that you raising Iris is in her best interest. I'm sorry. If you can sit here and explain to me why a psychopath who had to take medication because she couldn't control herself during her menopause is capable of raising my daughter, please, by all means, please do tell me. But the fact that you have to sit here and lie to justify keeping Iris is pathetic and shows how much of a psychopath you are. So, Jill and Thomas McFalls, I'm going to continue naming you publicly for everybody and anyone to see and hear and know exactly who you are. Why? Because I don't care. I really don't care. I couldn't care less about what happens to you. I couldn't care less about what happens to Christina Hudgens. I couldn't care less about what happens to Ben Levy. I couldn't care less what happens about Jaslyn Jones and Tiffany Brown and Michelle Trudeau and Magistrate Shankner and Catherine Cox and Judge Dealey and Judge Bailey. Really, honestly, I couldn't care less at this point because you've shown time and time again that you couldn't care less about we the people. So, in closing, I think you guys really might want to think about the decisions you've been making to put yourself in this situation. Because your decision making is an extreme question. And, you know, there's only so long you're going to be able to sit here and try and brush this under the rug. Right now, you want me to stop talking? That's nice. So far, the courts have only been getting one side of things, and that's your side of things. Your side of things has been filled with lies, loopholes, and bullshit, with not a single word to back it up, not a single document to back it up, not a single anything to back it up. Whereas I have loads and loads of medical records, documents, and recordings. What do you have? Nothing. That's the thing. You have nothing. And you will never have anything ever again. Anybody who profits on the abuse of a child deserves to suffer for the rest of their lives. And right now we are in the middle of a war. A physical war and a spiritual war. If you are sitting here enjoying the abuse of a child, you deserve to rot with the worst of them. And you will rot with the worst of them. We, the people, will make sure that you rot with the worst of them. So, CPS, if you have a problem with me sitting here calling you out, then you might want to stop opening up fraudulent cases, taking children against medical advice, and making them sicker than before you took them. Because until then, I'm not going to stop. So, to go over this once again, the initial attorneys on the case for Iris were Ralph Sapia. Now, apparently he was up for some sort of judicial nomination. I think you guys really should kind of ask why that's happening. Why somebody who withholds exculpatory evidence and why somebody who withholds medical records proving this case is false doesn't want to present it to the court. So you guys might want to ask Ralph Sapia and Douglas Wink about that. You also might want to ask Christina Hudgens, who is currently the attorney for Iris, why she doesn't know how to review medical records. Because when we were in court on October 25th, and I presented the medical records to the court, her comment was, "Have these been certified yet?" Well, Christina, you would know if they were accurate or if they weren't if you had actually pulled them yourself, as you're supposed to do as an attorney. But you have failed to do so, and instead you've been helping her abusers rather than helping her. So, Miss Christina Hudgens, I know that you sit here and say that you are a parent or a child advocate extraordinaire, but I don't really think that you know what that means, because you're not really advocating for your children, are you? No, you're advocating for your wallet. That's a problem, Miss Christina, because that means that you're not going to really have much of anything in the next couple of years. So, I'm going to move on now to Mr. Ben Levy. Now, Mr. Levy, I know that you're sitting here thinking that my decision-making is in question, but yet you can't actually tell what decision-making that is, can you? I'll sit and wait. Oh, we can't litigate this with you, Miss Guskin. Why is that, Ben? Is it because you actually can't answer any of these questions? Yes. Is it because you don't actually know any of this information? Yes. Is it because you're too fucking stupid to actually look at medical records yourself? Yes. Should a person like you be in a position where you're making decisions for other people's health? No. So now we move on to Dr. Michelle Judo. Hello, Michelle. How are you? I hope you're doing just as wonderful as I am. Now, dear psychopath, let's have a little chat, shall we? You are the director of the Medical Kidnap Division of Baltimore County, is that not? You also have your own little pediatrics practice here in Baltimore County, do you not? Have you been having problems since this whole thing came public and everybody found out what you're actually like? Has your lawyer husband been having difficulty finding work since he found out that his wife and everybody around him found out that his wife is being investigated for human trafficking and that there's a warrant pending for your arrest? Gee, I wonder. Now, Dr. Michelle Trudeau, I hope you understand that there is accountability for your actions. That when you decide to take actions and when you decide to abuse a child, there is accountability. Now, see, here's the great thing. You may have circuit court under your thumb, and that's nice. I don't need circuit court. I need federal court. I need the DOJ. I need the Office of Inspector Generals, and I need we the people. I have what I need. Do you have what you need? I'll wait. Have you kidnapped any other children recently, by the way? Are you aware that you've been under FISA surveillance for the past year? Are you aware that we have everything of yours? Text messages, phone calls, emails, email drafts. Everything and anything that you have sent in the past year is ours. You can continue sitting here holding Iris hostage. That's fine, but that's not going to get me to stop. So, if you want me to stop talking about you, not gonna happen, sorry. You should probably return Iris, yes or no. Until then, I think I'm going to keep putting out videos every single day, naming each and every one of you who are continuously abusing and trafficking children. So, in closing, I also strongly recommend that if you are seeing a Dr. Cheryl Parks, I believe located in Randallstown. I have to get the name of the actual practice. However, Dr. Cheryl Parks works at Dr. Blackwell White's practice. If you also see a Dr. Ramos Salas, who is in, I believe, Charlottesville, Maryland. And if you're attending Main Street Pediatrics, who is in Reisterstown, Towson, and I believe in other couple of locations across Maryland, be very, very, very careful. These pediatrician's office facilitates the trafficking of children. They will ignore easy diagnoses. I mean, tongue and lip tie is as simple as lifting up the lip. Dr. Ramos, Dr. Parks, and Dr. Fuller were all incapable of doing this. All of them were incapable of lifting up Iris's lip, but they were all interested in helping CPS take Iris. I wonder why. Could it have anything to do with that contract for care little notation that was put on the agreement that we made at GBMC? What is that contract for care, Miss Michelle Trudeau? Another thing I did want to bring up before I go. Ben, dearest, dumbest Ben, you're not very smart, are you? Did you know that it's federal law that requires doctors and pediatricians to have people sign consent forms in order for them to vaccinate due to the known problems with vaccinations? Now, interestingly, I have Main Street Pediatrics telling me that there's no consent form to sign, which means one of two things. Either they are violating federal law, or there is no consent form being signed there, and all the consent forms are being signed by Dr. Michelle Trudeau, who was not assigned to be Iris's doctor. At no point. So why either is Main Street Pediatrics failing to fill out these consent forms, or why is Dr. Michelle Trudeau continuing to make decisions for a child that she has no place making decisions over? Other than the fact that she's already shown that her decision making is highly questionable. Now remember, guys, Dr. Michelle Trudeau is the one who vaccinated Iris, and she had a reaction so bad that she needed IVs in both of her hands. This is the poor decision-making of Michelle Trudeau and Baltimore County Child Protective Services. I can't imagine it being much different in Baltimore City. So I know that we are on a long weekend and that the government doesn't come back up until Wednesday at the earliest. But I recommend each and every one of you, if you have dealt with CPS in any shape or form, open up or put in an application for Freedom of Information Act request. You guys need to know what's been going on with your cases. You need to know what's been going on with your children. And you need to know what's been going on with CPS. So if you want me to stop talking CPS, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. You're delusional. So, all right, guys, I love you, and I will probably be back before Christmas. If anything, just to kind of keep driving the point that Jill McFalls, Tom McFalls, Christina Hudgens, Ralph Sapia, Douglas Wink, Ben Levy, Michelle Trudeau, Main Street Pediatrics, they're all complicit in human trafficking. They are all profiting on the abuse of infants and children. Dr. Michelle Trudeau is pretty much the person that says, I want that baby, and I want that baby, and oh, I want that baby too. Give them to me. And she's the one who comes up with fraudulent cases, fraudulent warrants, fraudulent information. And then when you deal with foster parents that are really fucking stupid, like Jill and Thomas, and don't bother to check it, and they just listen to these dumb bitches who are abusing children and can't justify anything with anything that they say with actual documentation. So here's the problem, guys. Right now we have attorneys and advocates and God knows who are speaking for Iris, but yet haven't actually seen a single paper of her actual medical documents. So it's an interesting situation where you have a team of ultimately Team Dead Iris. These are people who have known that vaccinating Iris might kill her, and they've done it anyway. So right now they have attempted murder charges hanging over their heads, and my federal judge seems to agree with me. So you've got circuit court here thinking that's no big deal, but then you have federal court here, the DOJ, the Office of Inspector General, thinking that attempted murder is kind of valid here. One of us is wrong here. There's either circuit court here who can't seem to account for any of their decisions in Baltimore County, or the DOJ, Office of Inspector General, federal court, myself, and we the people who think that CPS should have to actually answer their questions and account for their actions. Who do you think is going to win, guys? The CPS? Everybody else. CPS? everybody else. Come on, guys. It's a no-brainer. Keep making it worse on yourself, guys. Keep making it worse. The longer you make this go on, the more cases are going to open up on you, the more that DOJ is going to have to look into, and the more charges are racking up against you. That's what's happening right now, guys. You're just making it worse. You want to sit here and hold Iris hostage? All right, I will let the entire world know that the reason why you are holding Iris hostage is because, one, you're ignoring my therapists, the 4 mental health professionals who say that it's better for Iris to return. And you are going to sit here and say, I don't want you exposing the way that we're stealing children. That's nice. If you don't want me exposing the way that you're stealing children, then don't steal children. What a concept! But you're not going to learn, are you? No. You're not going to learn until you have a nice new pair of bracelets. That's fine. We the people will be perfectly fine with letting you learn the hard way. So, on that note, guys, with this government shutdown we've got going on, a lot of people are going to be affected. I don't exactly know in what extent, but be aware, guys. Be ready. POTUS isn't fucking around. We the people aren't fucking around. If you're complicit in human trafficking, you are going to be held accountable. And there's no stopping it. You can sit here and hold on to my daughter as long as you want and try to keep her and try to use her as a hostage as long as you want. But now, on top of the fraudulent case, I now have you for extortion. I'm going after Scott for $737 a month on top of the abuse that you're inflicting to my daughter. I don't think we the people are going to put up with this shit for much longer. So here's a question. If you have been affected by Baltimore County Department of Social Services and they took your child under false pretenses, and you feel that you might be able to prove it in medical records, please file a Freedom of Information Act request with the Department of Justice. Also, I strongly, strongly, strongly recommend that when you do so, you consider filing a civil suit seeking a criminal investigation into CPS and seeking reimbursement for any child support you might have paid, plus interest. So I recommend that you guys also go after your local courts for interest if they've been going after you for child support under fraudulent circumstances. Because apparently that's a new thing in Baltimore County, where Baltimore County can open up a fraudulent case, take your children against medical advice, make your child sick, refuse to give them the same quality of care, and then extort you. So guys, just thought you should know. Also, when you get your Freedom of Information Act, I know you want to go for those medical records first and foremost. Don't. The first thing you guys need to go for is their financial statements. You need to know what money was being spent on your child and when. First and foremost, you need those financial statements. We need to audit CPS. We need to audit Department of Social Services. We need to audit all of these hospitals, all of these doctors, all these pediatricians. Everybody involved needs to be audited. We need their full and complete financial statements, and we need to pick them apart. Because then I can assure you, when we have government spending at $30,000 for a screw in the military, what the fuck do you think that child kidnappers extraordinaire are going to be doing? Yes, child kidnapper extraordinaire, Christina Hudgens. You are a child trafficker. Not a child advocate, a child trafficker. Now, right before I end this, and I want to leave you all on this note. Trafficking. The legal definition of trafficking is taking somebody from their family against their wishes for personal profit. Now, if you have been sitting here making any money at all from Iris's removal, we will find out, and we will know, and we already know. Which means that you right now are complicit in child trafficking. You took Iris away from her parents, against her parents' wishes and against Iris's wishes, with the intent to profit on her suffering. Trafficking. All of you involved are complicit in child trafficking. Each and every one of you. This includes the clerks at Baltimore County. This includes the magistrates. This includes the judges. Every single one of you who has touched these cases and have had these come through your courtroom is complicit. Each and every one of you is complicit. How many families did you destroy? How many families have you held these papers, not these papers obviously, but how many families have you held papers to that you destroyed under fraudulent circumstances out of profit for you and for CPS? Well, how many CPS cases has gone through Baltimore County Circuit Court in the past year? 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. How much worse did it get? Each and every one of you is going to be held accountable to the fullest strength of the law. Now, that being said, there was an olive branch extended a couple of months ago. What was that olive branch? Election day. I'm sorry, the day before Election Day. The day before Election Day, POTUS gave the deep state the option to defuse, to disarm, and to back down. The day before Election Day, POTUS gave everybody involved in crimes against children, in human trafficking, and in terrorism, because guess what? Trafficking somebody's child and then saying, I'm not going to return that child until you stop talking is terrorism. Taking a journalist's child in an attempt to intimidate we the people into not fighting back against CPS is terrorism. Let me reiterate. Baltimore County Circuit Court. Each and every one of you are paid by government dollars. Each of you who have been complicit in human trafficking are acting against the interest of we the people. Each and every one of you who are acting against the interest of we the people during a time of war are committing terrorism. Magistrate Shankner, Magistrate Farmer, Judge Cox, Judge Bailey, Judge Dealey. Each and every one of you are complicit in terrorism because in each and every one of you are sitting here saying, either stop talking or you're not getting your daughter back. That is terrorism. That is extortion. That is blackmail. And that has been broadcasted on an international level. This entire planet has seen how CPS extorts, terrorizes, and blackmails its victims. Each and every one of you are complicit. On that note, guys, where we go on, we go on.